Let's address the fact that inaccurate predictions are totally okay, but only when she's wrong. In the lead up to the presidential race, Emma declared that her final electoral college prediction is that Harris sweeps all 7 swing states and ekes out a victory in Iowa.
What's happening, everybody? Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks has been in an ongoing back and forth with ex-TYT host and former best friend Emma Vigeland. Nice gal. Today, we're going to watch Anna Kasparian respond to the most recent attacks on her by Emma Vigeland and her equally insufferable co-host of the Majority Report, Sam Seder. Anyway, let's watch the lesser of two evils, Anna Kasparian, wipe the floor with 2 extremely objectionable people, Emma Vigeland and Sam Seder. Let's go.
Whoopsies. Now, if you watch Beavis and Butthead on the Vanguard YouTube channel, which the Majority Report hilariously treats as some authoritative source, you'd think that TYT is totally in favor of the Trump administration gutting federal agencies. Except we're not. 2 things can be true at the same time. These agencies have been deeply corrupted, do engage in waste, and should be reformed. But treating the federal workforce as if they're Twitter employees is a disastrous way to handle it, as we've been learning in recent weeks. But let's hear what Emma has to say about my on-air correction.
It is not the prediction. People make predictions all the time.
Right, I was wrong in my prediction about the election,
but
this
is not making some type of poly market bet here.
Yeah.
Where the outcome we can't tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was an abundance amount of evidence of this. And even if your opinion, not prediction, opinion was, I can't see them doing this is pretty radical. The idea that you would mock people for believing it and saying it was a conspiracy theory, the people had Trump derangement syndrome. I'm sorry, give me a break.
Apologies, I forget that Sam usually doesn't let Emma get a word in edgewise, but I'll address what she said in that video in a second. But before I do, did I, Sam? Did I mock voters who were worried about Project 2025? Because I don't remember doing that. What I do recall is chastising Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party for offering nothing to voters other than incessant fear-mongering about Trump. I also remember criticizing members of the media who simply regurgitated anything the Democratic Party claimed. I also found it fascinating that as the whole of the Democratic Party was engaging in said fear-mongering, they were also playing part in a massive cover-up about Biden's mental decline. I mean, just think about it. Democracy is under threat. We, the Democrats, insist that this corpse stay in the race to give us the best chance of beating Trump and saving democracy. But since Emma brought it up, let's address the fact that inaccurate predictions are totally okay, but only when she's wrong. In the lead up to the presidential race, Emma declared that her final electoral college prediction is that Harris sweeps all 7 swing states and ekes out a victory in Iowa. My only reservation is that I don't want to jinx the results, but I'm trying to avoid the trappings of magical thinking. Well, Emma, the magical thinking is what led you to think that Harris would sweep all battleground states. Not that you cited superstitious jinxing. And of course, Trump, not Harris, went on to win all swing states and the popular vote. The average of polls clearly showed Harris trailing Trump. She ran a horrific campaign.
So Emma Vigeland at one point said, I was wrong about my prediction about the election. That's putting it lightly. If you recall, another really smart person predicted a Kamala landslide. Who was that again? Oh yeah, David Pakman. I have to believe that for folks like these, they've seen how TYT's audience responded when Anna Kasparian dared to criticize the Democrat Party. So being concerned with keeping their audience, they tell them exactly what they want to hear. The truth be damned. And what have been the consequences for these unfathomably bad predictions? Nothing. Their fans still listen to them and take their word as gospel. I mean, we did have David Pakman begging his viewers and subscribers not to leave because he saw a tiny dip post-election. And while that was fun to watch, Nothing ever really came out of it. So apparently that's the formula to become a progressive commentator. No matter how outrageous the claim, as long as it aligns with your audience bias, then shout it from the rooftops. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Stood for nothing, was unpopular with anyone who was paying attention, and wasn't even nominated through a democratic process. She was anointed. How's that for saving democracy? But you worked very hard to launder her reputation and sell her to Americans. So much so that I thought maybe, just maybe, all those Kamala Harris ads that interrupted your YouTube videos were possibly clouding your judgment. But you say you were delusional all on your own. And you know what? I'll take your word for it. But since we're on the topic of issuing corrections, one of your viewers is curious about something that you've said and whether you're going to correct it. One of your viewers wants to know that since I admitted I was wrong, can Majority Report admit they were wrong, saying there wasn't a Venezuelan gang that took over an apartment complex in Colorado, even though residents were coming out and saying that was going on for months? I haven't heard a peep from the Majority Report. Well, you know what? That's actually a great question. Majority Report seemed to direct their audience to harass me for months for accurately reporting that story. When that story was updated to include a horrific incident in which Tren Aragua gang members literally kidnapped and tortured a couple that lived in that Aurora, Colorado apartment complex, Majority Report couldn't be bothered with it at all.
A Colorado apartment complex plagued by suspected Venezuelan gang activity in the spotlight again after a brutal kidnapping.
They were pistol whipped, they were beat, they were victimized, they were terrorized.
Police say on Monday night, more than a dozen people approached a man and a woman, forcing them into an empty apartment where they were held against their will, and the man was stabbed. The two victims were released by the assailants after they promised not to call police, authorities say. Police say 19 people were initially detained in connection to the attack. Tonight, 16 are in Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody, according to an ICE spokesperson who says they are all Venezuelan nationals in the country without authorization.
Prior to that, the Aurora Police Department had already arrested 10 Tren Aragua gang members from the same building. Wow, take a look at that. That's a lot of mugshots for a Venezuelan gang that definitely does not exist and definitely were not victimizing other migrants in addition to low-income Americans in that same apartment complex. That totally didn't happen. Oh, but by the way, that's not all. Earlier this month, ABC News had this headline. Quote, ICE carries out raid in Colorado. 100 members of Venezuelan gang targeted for arrests. Alleged members of Tren Aragua were arrested at an Aurora apartment complex. So I'm just really curious, super curious. Is ABC News funded by Polymarket? And that's why they're reporting these news stories? Are they making?
Yeah, and Anna touched on another of about 8 trillion things that I can't stand about Sam and Emma. They never, just like most Democrats, acknowledge their mistakes. They just change the subject and move on, or just never mention it again. They are in such lockstep with the left-wing media. If you recall, when these horrific events at these apartment complexes were going on, identical to Sam and Emma, the mainstream media were either denying completely or minimizing how serious the problem was there. I remember J.D. Vance was being interviewed and he said, we've got, Venezuelan gangs overrunning apartment complexes. And the interviewer tried to fact check him on air and be like, well, it's not multiple, there's just one we know of, or something like that. And J.D. Vance's response was, how many is enough for it to be a story to you? What are you talking about? Folks like the mainstream liberal media or Sam and Emma would much rather stay in line with their narrative as opposed to reporting some awful things that are happening to the American people. Someone should do a compilation of the list of things that Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland make excuses for or just deny completely about the Democrat Party. I mean, the list is so long, you could probably make a 2-hour compilation. Anyway, let's wrap it up.
Picking it up? I mean, it's just how many gang members do you need to take over a single apartment complex? But look, that's not all. Does Emma have the integrity to admit that she was wrong to gaslight everyone about Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass's austerity measures, namely her decision to cut the budget for a fire department that had already been chronically short-staffed and underfunded. She put this up on Twitter. Lots of people are spreading this $17 million fire budget cut story, and it's just not accurate. She then included a comical thread to bolster her claim. The thread made no sense, and it was clear that Emma didn't even bother to read the thread that she herself quote tweeted. She was even called out by other lefties like Sam Sachs, who correctly stated that Emma was sharing an incoherent thread she couldn't have possibly read. And then, when told the actual facts, doubles down and accuses everyone of lying to help the right. She still hasn't deleted the post that was retweeted 5,000 times. I checked today, it's still up. And therein lies the heart of the issue with Majority Report. Anyone who has a thought or belief that deviates even slightly from their doctrine is just a right-winger. And right-wingers could never make any legitimate points, right?
Will the left ever just stop eating itself? I mean, good Lord. You know, one time I got a comment that was like, what are you, simping for Anna Kasparian? It's like, I don't think I am. I mean, when you have these little progressive tiffs, I just got to call it as I see it. And there were points in Anna Kasparian's reporting there that were identical to how I would have commented on a story. I mean, her talking about the election, her criticism of the Democrat Party, you know, installing Kamala, hiding Biden's cognitive decline, offering no real solutions or policies, fear-mongering about Trump. Can any of us disagree with any of that? That's what makes the progressive left hate her. And so I'm sorry, you got to respect someone who calls it as they see it. And again, let's be very clear. I probably don't agree with Anna Kasparian on 95% of things, but when she tells the truth, I'm going to point that out, especially when I think she's being attacked unfairly by two absolute dolts. But what do you all think about this cat fight between Anna Kasparian and Emma Vigeland? Did I get it wrong? Is Emma Vigeland the hero in this story? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like watching videos of dumbasses like Sam Cedar and Emma Vigeland just toe the company line, then click on one of the videos that's about to pop up on your screen. Otherwise, as always, I've got the best viewers in the world. I really, really appreciate you all taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. It means a ton to me. Jesus loves you. I'll see you guys.